Thanks, Chris. A lot of craziness wearing red down in this part of the world. You know, the SEC is not only a conference of great football, but also one of great tradition, and it's a renewal of a ritual here at the University of Georgia. They simply call it Walking the Dogs. Wow, what a scene outside the stadium as Georgia participates in the dog walk. And you can tell by the enthusiasm of the fans tonight, South Carolina coming to town to take on the Georgia Bulldogs. Hi, everybody. Ron Franklin. Welcome to Saturday primetime college football here on ESPN. So glad you could join us. As you could tell by the reaction of the fans outside the stadium and that dog walk just completed, big games come early in the Southeastern Conference. In fact, the folks here at Georgia have found out that ever since Lou Holtz arrived in Columbia, that they have a huge battle on their hands, their very first conference game every season. Last year, the Bulldogs had to find out the hard way. They got upset in Columbia 21-10, and they have not forgotten that ill-fated trip to South Carolina. That's the fans or the players. When we come back, Mike and Adrian will join me as we get you ready for tonight's contest in the SEC between the Bulldogs of Georgia and the Gamecocks of South Carolina. Saying in this part of the world, and the red and black takes the field here at Sanford Stadium as their first conference game, and it's only the second week of the season. Tonight, week number 2, and it's the Gamecocks of South Carolina, winners last year over the Georgia Bulldogs, here in Athens to try to make it 2 years in a row. Head coach Lou Holtz, first year, one of us not that much fun. Last year was a lot of fun in Columbia, and they're trying to make it an even better year in 2001. And on the other side of the field, a new head coach for the Georgia Bulldogs. And in fact, let's go down to the field. Adrian Karsten is with Mark Richt. Adrian?
Well, Ron, 1 week ago tonight, Mark came into the stadium to face Arkansas State and said, yeah, I'm really out of my office. I am the head coach at Georgia, and there are at least 85,000 different opinions. Mark, this is a little bit different situation now facing the SEC. How do you keep the emotions of yourself and your players in check tonight?
Well, I think they just know what this means. I mean, it's a big momentum game. It puts the team who wins it in contention for the title. And I think these guys are ready to play.
What have you told yourself, reminded yourself, what have you told your players and other coaching staff so that they fully understand the significance of this game so early in the year?
Well, I think they understand. I think the big thing right now is that they focus on what do I do on this play and how hard can I play, and that's all I can ask for them.
Mark, all the best. Appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Ron.
All right, Adrian, thanks very much. Hi once again, everybody. Mike Gottfried with me as usual. Mike, you not only got a new head coach on the sideline, you got a brand new quarterback on the field, and he is young.
He really is young. David Green's a fine player at the quarterback position, and I'm sure Charlie Strong, the defensive coordinator of South Carolina, is going to try to mix things up. But the no-huddle offense really benefits a young quarterback because it gives him a lot of time to look over coverages.
Talk about Derek Watson. He was suspended for the Outback Bowl. We didn't see him there, but he is back on the eligible list. He's a weapon, isn't he? He
really is a great running back, an inside runner, and he also catches the ball very well. And I think that South Carolina will try to go at this under front of Georgia and see if they can get a running game going.
The weather, not really a factor tonight. The first couple of weeks we have had extreme either temperature and or humidity or both. Tonight it's very comfortable here in Athens. 84 degrees, only 58% humidity, partly cloudy, and the forecast says nothing about rain, which we are very excited about because that was not the case our first 2 weeks out on the road. Jonathan Kilgo has the ball teed up, and it's Derek Watson who is back deep. 2 returns, 26 yards on the year. Here's Kilgo's kick. High end of end, and it's returnable. Going to come down to Watson from the 5. Gets a block, 20, 25, loose at the 30. Watson, midfield, still tiptoeing his way down the sideline, and he's out of bounds at the 32-yard line of Georgia. 66 yards on the return, Mike.
Well, we talked about Derek Watson, and that's what I like about Lou Holtz. He puts his best back to return kicks. He gets some great box blocks. So here he starts up inside. You want to draw the defenders inside, gets a nice block on the outside. Derek Watson, this sets up great field position for his quarterback, Petty.
Well, we had no more than gotten out of our mouths that Lou Holtz wants to use him on everything except kickoff coverage, and look at the field position that South Carolina has to open the ball game. The 31.5-yard line of Georgia. Phil Petty, the quarterback, redshirt senior out of Boiling Springs, South Carolina. Brewer and Pinnaker, the setbacks. Shovel pass. That's Brewer. Has 5, has 10, on his way inside the 25, and he's down to the 23-yard line. It's a gain of 14 for the star of last year's Outback Bowl. So Phil Petty, 6'3", 210, finally playing on 2 good wheels. He has had leg problems, ran a 4.62 for pro scouts about a month ago. Watson and Pinnock, the running back. Scott and Spikes, the wide receivers. Hart Turner is the tight end. So we just walked into the living room. Hang on. The SEC off and running in a wild one here in Athens. Quick out pass. And again, it goes to Brewer. Tries to turn the corner, and it's going to be hit and knocked down by Bruce Thornton, the quarterback on that side, but it'll be a short game. The offensive line, and this is the best weapon that the Gamecocks have. Wharton, Williams, Johnson, Hall, and Page, and the bell cow right there in the middle. Laurel Johnson. They moved him there last year. That's when everything gelled on that offensive front. Mike, who do they go against?
And the real question is Sullivan and Jacobs inside. They replaced 2 really mammoth defensive tackles. A little undersized. Let's see how they play tonight.
2 guys that are in the National Football League now, as you all know. Puts it in the stomach of Watson. Short yardage, going to be knocked down by Charles Grant, the big defensive end. Sometimes a running back, although I think they're just going to use him on defense this year. The linebackers for Georgia, and they're very good ones. Boss Bailey, out all year with a knee. Last year, he's back. Gilbert and Witherspoon, they're veterans. They are very, very quick. And in the secondary, Mike, talk about these guys. I guess Wansley is the best cover guy for them.
Very good secondary. Some former running backs and wide receivers, so they have good ball skills.
3rd down. And about 5 yards to go. As you get a good look at Tim Wansley. Not real tall, but he plays hard, and he's tough in man coverage. Petty sets. Good protection. Throws it complete. That's Carlos Spikes, and he'll have a first down inside the 10-yard line of the Georgia Bulldogs. 9-yard gain on the play. And they're going to spot this ball, in fact, at the 4-yard line. You see the numbers on Petty. Almost 55%. And probably, now that he is healthy, Mike, an underrated guy, because people look at him as not a great athlete. With 2 good wheels, he's proven that he is a better athlete.
And Skip Holtz, the offensive coordinator, wants him to run the ball more at the quarterback position.
This time he goes under center. Gamecocks with the 1st and goal. He's going to have to hurry. 2 seconds, 1 on the play clock. Watson on the right side. He gets tagged by linebacker Witherspoon, but he's going to have a couple of yards on the play. And let's see from when the line judge has come in on the near sideline. He is about 1.5 yards away from pay dirt.
Ron, the 2 big backs for South Carolina. Pinnock is 250 pounds at the fullback spot. Watson's 6'1", 210, so they can hammer you down here inside the 5-yard line.
Believe it or not, at 250, Pinnock is used at tailback sometimes. But as you can see, he lines up in a blocking position at fullback this time. Petty gives it to the big guy, and ball is loose. Still no signal. Pinnock, the ball carrier. Touchdown. Mike, how much of a difference does it make to come into enemy territory like this and just hit a deep triple and then hit a couple off the boards to get started?
Well, the triple was Watson on the kickoff return. And Lou Holtz talked about the first 10 minutes of this crowd, so that's a good way to answer the crowd.
Extra point is good. And the thing that set it up, a 66-yard kickoff return by this man, Derek Watson. He's a junior out of Williamston, South Carolina. And as Mike said, he's a big fella at 210 pounds, but he showed that he can motor on this play right here. And the importance of this play we'll see as the night goes on. 7-0, South Carolina jumps on top. Didn't take very long. 2 minutes 46 seconds. 6 plays, 31 yards. Here's the kickoff by Joey Bowers. Going to go 1 yard deep, and that's Reggie Brown. Return up the middle. Now tries to go to his right. Good coverage on the special teams, and he has turned to flip by number 1, and that is Antone Neesmith, who is the starting safety for the Gamecocks. So David Green, and he is just that. He is very green. Lithonia, Georgia, his home. He said, actually, I'm from Snellville. Arts and science major. He's got Smith and Haynes behind him. Edwards and Gary, 2 very good receivers. And the tight end is Randy McMichael. We'll also see Ben Watson tonight. Georgia is blessed with 2 outstanding tight ends, and they're a big part of the offense. First play for the redshirt freshman. Coming up with an audible. 4 seconds on the play clock, down to 3. The left-hander spins and gives it to Musa Smith, the tailback, and there's not much doing right there as he gets knocked down by Langston Moore. The offensive line for the Georgia Bulldogs, the bell cow probably right there in the middle. Kurt McGill, he started here in Georgia on defense. He was moved to offensive center, done a great job, along with John Stinchcomb. And who do they face, Mike?
They got a good group of defensive linemen. Langston Moore is probably the best. He's 300 pounds in the middle.
He just made that first tackle. 2nd down and 9 as we're about to hit 11:30 to play in the opening quarter. First pass by Green, gets it to Smith, right over the middle. Gets by the first linebacker, then hit by the second. And it is going to be close to the first down as the spotting of the football is going to be around the 36. The linebackers for South Carolina. Kalimba Edwards, he's all conference. Many people think he could be All-American. Harney, injured ankle. They got to have him. He is the big play guy in the middle. We'll see how long he could go. Lemon also. In the secondary, Faison, Offord, Goodman, Neesmith, and Brown. Quarterback sneak on 3rd down and short, and Georgia with the surge of that offensive front behind McGill, Knight, and Breedlove. They pick up the first.
I can't tell you, Ron, how important it is for Georgia to answer South Carolina's score, especially going to South Carolina last year and losing that ball game. You expect anytime you coach to answer a score.
David Green, 21 of 29, 285 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interception. Short drop this time, gets this one over the middle. It is caught at the 40-yard line, and that's good for 11 yards to LeBron Mitchell, a senior out of Marietta, who also is a backup quarterback.
Ron, here's why I like to no huddle with a young quarterback. See, he gets so much time to look at South Carolina's defense after he gets the play call in. See, right now the 25-second clock has just started. There's 21 seconds, and he's got a lot of time to look it over.
Gets this one to Smith. Get him out of the backfield. Crosses midfield, and he's down to the South Carolina 48-yard line. It's a gain of 12, and so far, neither defense has been able to figure out what the other offense is doing.
No, and I like the poise real quickly of David Green because he goes out there against a very good defensive football team, and he's making all the right decisions here, dumping off the ball to Musa Smith.
I asked him yesterday, I said, will you be nervous? He said, no, sir, I got too much on my mind. Smith gets the handoff, first running play, and they're going to knock him down for very short yardage. Langston Moore records his 2nd tackle. He's the guy that Mike talked about a moment ago, who was so very talented, a junior out of Charleston, South Carolina.
Ron, you talked about last week for David Green. He completed his first 11 passes, so he came out of the chute quickly last week in that game.
Sports and entertainment major is Langston Moore. 2nd down and 10. Draw play. Musa Smith. We saw him last year. He was injured when Jim Donnan and his crew tried to move him up. And he told us that, in fact, that coaching staff told us at the time that this kid could really turn into the real deal.
Yeah, Jim Donnan thought he could be a great player for Georgia if he can stay healthy.
Langston Moore, by the way, just recorded his 3rd tackle. It's 3rd down, and they need to take it down to the South Carolina 38-yard line. 7-0, Gamecocks on top. In a very rapidly paced ball game. Gets it out in the flat. Caught juggled for a moment. 45 down to the 40. Damian Gary, the redshirt sophomore out of right here in Athens, and it's a gain of 10 yards on the play.
Ron, that was a nice catch because he had to concentrate on that all the way. It almost looked like he took his eyes off the football. You're going to see number 18, Damian Gary. Here I think he took his eyes off the ball to look at the defender, but he still managed to catch that football.
Kenny Bailey checks into the lineup at tailback. He is the cousin of Boss Bailey. Ninth play of the drive coming up. Pressure is on. Green got it, incomplete. Just beyond the outstretched arms of Terrence Edwards, the sprinter, junior from Tennille, Georgia.
Should have had that football. Now, that ball was thrown very well by David Green. Terrence Edwards usually with the sure-handed catch. He's caught one pass in every football game he's played at here at Georgia.
The reason he has such good hands also, Mike, outstanding AAU basketball player.
And Ron, he was a quarterback in high school.
Yep.
Washington County.
That's the first incomplete pass by Green. Pitch back comes, and this is Bailey. Tries to turn the corner. And let's check in with Brian Kenny. Brian.
Guys, a little change in philosophy in the scheduling of K-State taking on USC. Pete Carroll looking for his second win. His head coach there, Josh Scobie, gets the football for K-State. He's going in. Loses the football. K-State, though, would recover. Nick Leckey given credit for that. So 10-0. K-State up on top. Meantime, defending champs up 7-3 on North Texas.
Not surprising on K-State, Mike. Everybody has said they lost so many on defense. They're a good football team. Steps up into the pocket, gets it off to a safety valve. That's Mitchell. Mitchell breaks one tackle, still on his feet. And then tackled and almost a late hit. South Carolina fortunate as Gary made the reception. Very fortunate that with that late jump in that it wasn't an unsportsmanlike.
And they're going to try a field goal here. And that's a good drive by David Green. I think this is a good call by Mark Richt. You need points on the board. It's going to be a long football game.
Billy Bennett, who was from right here in Athens, to attempt it from the far hash mark. It is a 45-yard attempt. He's longest in his career, 49. Good pass, plenty of distance on this one, and we have a 7-3 ball game. So we got a commercial coming. 8:04 to play, opening quarter. And if this game for 60 minutes is at this pace, this is going to be fun.
ESPN's presentation of primetime college football is brought to you by Mitsubishi Lancer, where style and substance meet. Are you in?
Not everyone at the football game tonight. Obviously, another group of students enjoying fellowship out on campus. This kickoff is going to go out of bounds as it was kicked away from Ryan Brewer, and South Carolina will get it again in good field position at the 35. Mike, tell me something quickly. The pace of the no huddle by Georgia. Did you think it was even quicker than you had anticipated, or what was it like?
I thought it was very good, and I think where you'll see this benefit Georgia is late in the ball game, late in the second quarter. And you may look at a South Carolina defensive line, especially with their tongues out, because you're constantly trying to get to the quarterback, and so they will wear you out if you don't substitute very well.
So right now we take a look at the South Carolina offense again. A 66-yard kickoff return aided them, and then they took it 31 more yards to score on the opening possession. Petty puts it in the stomach of Watson. Tries to break off the tackle of big Tony Gilbert. He can't get away from him. Tony, the man in the middle, a junior out of Macon, Georgia. Brian Kenny, let's go back to you.
Ron will get you up to date on Florida State and UAB. Seminoles unbeaten at home in 52 straight here. Chris Ricks, freshman, in the air, got himself some room. Talman Gardner with the touchdown. It's 26-7. And Florida putting a whooping on Louisiana Monroe. It's 45-6. Florida gets Tennessee next week.
I don't know if Florida State will have that kind of time next week in that game we have against Georgia Tech. Petty going to be hit. That's Jonathan Sullivan, and he sacks him for the first sack tonight. Jonathan, a sophomore out of Griffin, Georgia, and it's a loss of 8.
Georgia moving a little stunt. Charles Grant inside, Jonathan Sullivan outside. Guard let him go, makes the tackle, and again, now it looks like that undersized defensive line, a little more movement in this series by Georgia's defense.
Skip Holtz, the offensive coordinator, pacing the sideline. Big task right here at third down. He's got to come out all the way to the 45-yard line. Johnson with the snap. They roll the pocket. Bill Petty hit from behind, had to secure the football. Charles Grant with his second tackle of the night. And look at the reaction in the stands by these Georgia faithful.
Ron, that's why it was very important to get 3 points on the board. Get your crowd back in it, but also get confidence for your young quarterback.
Tyler Dean to kick it away to Damian Gary. Gary has dropped off to the 30 of Georgia. Driving kick, very returnable. Gary tries to get behind his blockers, crosses the midfield, and will be knocked out at the 49. And now it's Georgia who has the great field position. 34 on the kick, 14 on the return, and John Stamper was down there to make the tackle. So, ebb and flow. The emotions, first of all, on the opening kickoff and then the opening possession by South Carolina. Georgia came right back. We'll see what kind of lift they get from their defense, because that was an extremely impressive series.
Good series, good field position to turn the ball over to your offense. So you got to score with this kind of field position when it's given to you.
Musa Smith is the lone setback for the Georgia Bulldogs this time. The tight end is Randy McMichael. He's the man in motion. And the lefty gets it out to McMichael. Off the motion, gets a block from that wide receiver. And it looked great, but it's a gain of about 4.5 yards. And Kalima Edwards makes the tackle, a senior out of East Point, Georgia. But he chose South Carolina because he wanted to go away from home and grow up. His dad is a professor at the University of North Carolina.
And he told him, he said, if you want to go to the SEC, he wanted to go to Alabama. Said if you want to go to the SEC, it's Vanderbilt or South Carolina.
So Kalima said South Carolina's where I'm going. Great job in the classroom, very well-spoken young man. And he is on everybody's all list. 5:38 remaining, opening quarter. That pass is caught, and that is Ben Watson. And we talked off the top of the telecast, Mike, about Georgia is blessed with two really good-looking tight ends. Watson led the team in bench pressing, even over the defensive lineman, with 535 pounds last year.
He's 6'3", so you got Randy McMichael, 6'4", 86, and then you got 89, 6'3", so good targets to hit him in the seam.
Look at the guns on that guy. He looks like an offensive lineman, and Mike's right. He weighs at least 260, and is very nimble of foot. 1st and 10. Short drop again, and this one just a little bit too low for Edwards. Probably the worst pass that he's thrown tonight. Let's check in again with Bryant Kenny.
Ron, defending national champions taking on the Mean Green, Oklahoma and North Texas. And here, Ronaldo Works busting up the middle. He's going to go 72 yards on this. Oklahoma starting off with Air Force, North Texas, and Tulsa. Party's over into the month. They'll get K-State. It's 14-3.
Talk about Kansas State schedule. You know, Oklahoma, pretty good scheduling too.
Musa Smith out of the backfield. It is, Mike, an interesting thing to see that young man, who is the number 2 at tailback, run the long touchdown, because to me, Griffin is still the most valuable player on that offense.
Great player. To go back to Kansas State, Ron, I think what Bill Snyder did when he scheduled, say, weaker teams, he built his program up. Now he knows he's got a pretty good football team. Opens at Southern Cal, proving it tonight, 10-0 ahead.
Yeah, Pete Carroll's got his hands full in that one at home. 3rd down and 5. They need to take it to the 23 of South Carolina. Again, the short drop, and the pass almost intercepted. He has not had a pickoff this year, but somebody got confused either on the route or where he thought that receiver was going to go.
I think he overthrew it a little bit. Andre Goodman almost had that interception, but they've tried to hit that post now twice to Edwards. They've been incomplete, and that one was almost intercepted.
So it's going to be Bennett again, who will attempt the field goal. Hit one just a moment ago from 45 yards. This is going to be an attempt of 44 yards. Left footer, as you can see. Good pass. Boy, he knocked this one off to the left. Couldn't get it to hook in, pushed it, and it's no good. So a good defensive stand for the Gamecocks of South Carolina. And with 4:33 left in a speedy first quarter, it is still South Carolina 7 and Georgia 3. Seven to 3, South Carolina. Bennett missed the field goal, his first career miss. Coach Lou was complaining to the officials a moment ago. What was it about, Mike?
The only thing I can think of is the pace of the game. You know, maybe that he feels like the official is moving this game too quickly for the offense. I don't know. I can't read lips. And Lou is spitting over there in the sideline.
He's very demonstrative in his. We'll check with Adrian, who can visit with one of the officials. We'll find out exactly. If you look at the ball control, almost totally even. It's just over 5 minutes in possession for both. Well, they jumped off sides. They got back. Watson hit by Grant. Boy, I'll tell you, Charles has already had at least 3 tackles. And explain something. Adrian Carson, let's check in with you. What was the situation?
I think Coach really can't read lips from up there, Ron. The situation is this. Both head coaches, Rick and Holtz, talked to Rogers Redding, a referee, the man in the white hat, pregame, and said, we have no huddles. We both know it. Set that ball as quickly as you can. It will help our quarterbacks. Well, Roger has been helping out. The problem is it's backfiring on Coach Holtz here a little bit because he gets up there. Now the Georgia defense is ready to go.
Oh, boy. You know, Adrian, we're already under 4 minutes left to play in his opening quarter. It has been speedy. In from the shotgun. Dumps it out here, and that's Brian Scott. Brian will take it across the 30-yard line. And it's going to be a 3rd down, and they'll still need about 6. Is Tim Wansley made the tackle.
And you talk to all the coaches at South Carolina, and they all agree they're as good on offense as Phil Petty will let them be. Skip Holtz wants him to run the ball more.
Crowd coming to their feet. They want a defensive stop for the Georgia Bulldogs again. Play clock is at 8, now at 7. Petty rolls the pocket, lofts this one, and incomplete off the hands of Brian Scott, and he had it and then dropped it. Wansley was there, but he had beaten Wansley.
Ron, you got to make this catch. Brian Scott's in great shape. They rolled the pocket to the left, which is a tough throw for the quarterback. Brian Scott should bring this football in, but you're right. Tim Wansley does knock against his arms. It's caused the ball to come loose, but you got to make that catch.
That's a good play both ways. Nice pass, but Wansley well within his limits of knocking the ball away. And it's Damian Gary who is the deep man. Tyler Dean prepares to punt. This is a much better kick. Very high and very deep. He's going to have to back way up all the way to the 16-yard line. Gets one block. Whoa, and he pays for the next one who comes by at the 25-yard line. Well, later tonight over on ESPN2, Casey Clausen leads number 7 Tennessee against Arkansas, and that begins at 9 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN2. Mike, Clausen a little bit of a slow start in his opening game. Touchdown on the first play, and then he struggled a little bit.
Some concern there, and also concern with John Henderson. Has an ankle sprain, and they don't know how well he will play tonight. And for how long? You need him.
And for people that don't keep up with the Southeastern Conference, Big John Henderson may be the best defensive lineman in America. Fakes it to the tailback, drills this pass, has it complete to Edwards. And the passing game right now, this kid looks so comfortable, which you have to compliment his new head coach, who has been doing this for a time, played at Miami, played in the pros. And I think he's got him in a real comfort zone.
He really is. He's comfortable in this offense. There's fits, Ron, where you fit a designed offense. This is a perfect fit for David Green.
It's time to go with the running play. Houston Smith tries to bump it to the outside, and he's going to be tripped up by number 11. That's Rashad Faison, who's a junior out of Wauchula, Florida. 2 touchdowns in his career. He's quite a hitter.
Ron, anytime Georgia gets in the eye, you're going to see Rashad Faison, number 11, up close to the line of scrimmage. They're going to try to get 8 and maybe 9 people close.
3rd down and short. Here comes the run high over over the top, misses Smith. 1st and 10, Georgia Bulldogs. Folks, this is a good football game. I love the pace. The officials, you don't even know they're there. They're not slowing down play. And this is fun. Good offense, good defense, and nice job of play calling on both sides of the ball.
Both sides. Nobody's tried to go downfield for the deep ball yet. Everything's been a controlled passing game.
Smith in motion. They swing this one out to Edwards. Gets a block from Smith. Wow, and then he gets tagged as he crosses the 40. And Brian Kenny, let's check with you again.
Ron, Notre Dame in Lincoln for the first time since 1948. Cornhuskers, first time they get the ball, march down the field. Darren Dietrich in for the touchdown. So the Cornhuskers lead Notre Dame 7-0. That's early in the first quarter. Meantime, K-State leading USC at the half, 10-zip. Ron?
Defensive K-State, they lost 7, but as you can tell, they're pretty doggone good again, leading with a shutout at halftime. Not surprised at Nebraska. They do as good a job at home getting the fans involved as anybody. Hit behind the line, and Green's going to be sacked for the first time tonight. That's Kaliba Edwards, who we talked about a couple of series ago.
Going back to Nebraska, Ron, I really think somebody ought to step in and design the schedules for all teams so they start the same time and they finish the same time, because you've got a tremendous advantage when you play 2 games and the other team hasn't played a game yet.
No question.
There's also some teams that have open dates before big games and the other team plays, so it's wrong.
Bring me back to this point a little bit later on, because I want to comment on the championship game last year. I thought a 45-day layoff had a heck of an effect on that game. The lefty got a man over the middle, and it's in and out of the hands of Michael Johnson. He caught it. They gave him a completion.
No, they're going to call it back.
Okay, the side judge over there was still saying he caught it. I beg your pardon. So it's incomplete, and it'll be 4th down.
Good defensive play right there. Rattle in the headgear. Andre Goodman again.
Crowd thought he caught the football, and one of the officials did as well, but the other said no. Jonathan Kilgo to punt it away, his longest 59 on the year, 1 inside the 20, and it's Ryan Brewer, who was back deep for South Carolina. Two seconds on the play clock. Nice coverage kick. Wobbly spiral. Looks like it hit a Georgia player at the 31-yard line. It's 31 yards on the kick. And we have 8 seconds left in this opening quarter. Well, coming up tomorrow night.
There's not a better defensive end tandem in the league. Opposing quarterbacks this season can expect pressure.
Oh no, but I'm gonna get him.
Carson Carter lead the Titans against the Dolphins on Sunday night. A lot of people feel as though that the Titans might be the best team in the National Football League. They'll get a stern test early, though. Petty throws it back, gets the screen to the sharp side of the field, and Michael ages. What a defensive play by Jermaine Phillips. That's the end of the first quarter. So we'll take a timeout with Carolina 7 and Georgia 3. Opening game of the SEC season in week number 2. Right back. Well, we are ready to start the second quarter. 7-3 South Carolina. Great look from the Sanford Bridge, looking into this capacity house at the University of Georgia. Second down and 6. Pinnock and Watson in the I formation. Pinnock is the fullback, 250 pounds junior out of Bloomfield, Connecticut. Fakes it to Watson. Penny gonna run this one and gets all he can and then goes down. And that's Shedrick Wynn, a reserve defensive tackle. First quarter game track. Well, South Carolina under Lou Holtz 2-8 on the road. Very big that they got off on the right foot. And the reason they did this is the opening kickoff. Derek Watson, 66 yards. Then they needed only 31 more yards to drive it home and go in front 7-0. Then Bennett with 1 of 2 field goals, and that's how we stand at 7-3. Harney with 6 tackles for South Carolina in the opening quarter. Edwards with 4. Grant with 3 for Georgia. And this is Watson. And he breaks it across the 40 for the first down, all the way out to around the 49-yard line. Vieira from the safety spot.
Well blocked by the left side of the offensive line of South Carolina. They really knocked off the defensive lineman. Did a pretty good job opening up a hole for Derek Watson.
Well, we talked about the strength of South Carolina is that offensive front. And the biggest change that they made that really helped them is Laurel Johnson, number 73 at center. That happened just before the bowl game last year, and he has become the glue as a senior out of Tampa. The give to Watson, tries to spin off a tackler, going to be hit in the backfield, and lots of penetration as number 90, Robert Geathers, is there to make the stop. Adrian Karsten, let's go back and check with you.
Very frustrating for head coach Lou Holtz and son Skip Holtz, the offensive coordinator. Great communication between father and son over here. After that kick in the first quarter, head coach Lou didn't think they were getting enough out of Derek Watson, carrying the ball or catching the ball in some of those flare patterns. 2 plays in a row now. One, he had a good run, but he's stuffed. And I can see Lou here shaking his head. He's not getting as much out of Derek Watson as he wants to now.
Well, when you got a horse like that, you got a running. I can understand why they want to get it to him every time. It is a 2nd down and 12. This time from the shotgun. Puts it in the stomach of Watson. Ball is fumbled and recovered quickly by Phil Petty. Robert Geathers is the man who got penetration again, and he's not the starter.
You know, it's really good. Adrian Karsten makes great observation on the sideline because it's become the Derek Watson show. But also, Georgia figures it's going to be Derek Watson. Now, they blitz from the outside. They got a draw play called, and they smack him in the mouth before they can even hand it off.
Mike, let me ask you, who then, if you decoy him, who do you go to if you're South Carolina?
I don't think you decoy, but you do need to throw the ball a little bit more down the field.
3rd down, 18. They got to go to the Georgia 40 to keep this one going. Rushing yardage, only 3 for the Gamecocks tonight. Here comes the pressure. Petty. Everybody's covered. He's going to have to run it. Tries to get to the sideline, and he's down at the 45 by Bruce Thornton.
This Georgia defensive football team runs very well. So when Phil Petty comes out of there, he thinks he's got room, but this is pretty good speed on the Georgia front. Bruce Thornton, the defensive back, just came up and made a nice tackle on Petty.
This is the 3rd punt of the night by Tyler Dean. Good high coverage kick. Near sideline, going to be caught. No fair catch is called for by Gary. Gets it back into the middle of the field. Gets by the first couple of tacklers, and he's down at the 32. 35 of the kick, but 12 on the return. So we'll take a timeout. 11:40 left until halftime, but our score remains 7-3 South Carolina.
ESPN's presentation of primetime college football is brought to you by Saturn. Now with 2 distinctly different car lines, the L Series and the S Series. And by Aflac. Without it, no insurance is complete.
Downtown Athens. Not everybody can get tickets for this one. What they're doing is they're simply down there waiting for the party. They're watching it on television, and then a lot of folks gather down there after 60 minutes of football. And I'm sure their thirst grows apace. The famous Hedges here in Athens. A capacity house, and there were people everywhere you look this week trying to buy tickets, and there were none available. Pitch goes to Musa Smith. Gets a blocker in front. And it's going to be hit and knocked down after a nice gain by number 30, Jonathan Martin. Brian Kenny, give us an update on what's happening in Lincoln tonight.
Ron, so far worst case scenario for Notre Dame, down 7-0. First play with the football. Fumble! And lost the football. Nebraska would get it back. First play for Nebraska. Eric Crouch up top to John Gibson. 14-0, but Crouch just fumbled Notre Dame football.
Wow, that'll be a long game, too. Notre Dame's capable coming back in that one.
Reggie Brown takes the short pass, and then he gets hit by Sheldon Brown and also Kalimba Edwards.
Sheldon Brown, the defensive back for South Carolina, may be as good as there is in America. Very good coverage defensive back, but also a sure tackler.
senior out of Louisville, South Carolina. And Mike is right. He's on a lot of All-America teams. Preseason first team All-SEC. Third down and 7. Plenty of time on that game clock as Georgia has slowed down the pace just a little. Lefty swings this one out, has it complete to Damian Gary. Gets by a tackler at the 35, and then finally is stopped short of the 50-yard line, and that's good for the first down, +6, gain of 12. Andre Goodman is the man he got turned around.
I just was talking to you about Damian Gary. He's got the guts of a burglar on the punt returns. He just sits in there, but he makes a good catch here. And look at the moves now. He hauls the ball in, a little juke step. Andre Goodman misses the tackle and picks up good yardage.
Noosa Smith to the other side, crosses midfield, and he's down to the 50-yard line. Brian Kenny, let's go back to you again.
Ron, we get back to the Sooners in a driving rain in Norman, Oklahoma, and North Texas. The Mean Green airing it out. Scott Hall to George Marshall. Oh, touchdown pass. Sooners just missed a field goal attempt. It's 14-10.
You're not going to see many of those against that secondary, but who knows? The University of North Texas having a great night. That running play by Smith, they're going to have the first down. And I really like the offense, the way they are mixing plays and really keeping South Carolina off balance, Mike.
No, you're right, because they came out in the first couple of series with throwing the football, trying to wear down the defensive front. Now they're hammering at him a little bit, which will open up the play-action passing game.
Noosa Smith, considered a sprinter, but he's 6'1", 212 pounds, out of Elliotsburg, Pennsylvania. Gets the hand up again, takes it to the right this time, and he's going to have 7, maybe 8 yards. They'll spot him down, let's see, at the 35-yard line, so it's a gain of 7. And Randy McMichael with a very good block leading on the play, the tight end. Randy didn't play last week. It was an off-season suspension. 5 guys, Mark Richt said, my way or the highway. And he suspended 5 people that didn't get to play last week, as there are flags everywhere. And it looked as though Sean Smith came across.
Here's where, if you're Lou Holtz, you got a little problem. And now they're substituting their defensive lineman.
Dead ball foul, illegal snap against the offense, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
You take Langston Moore out, the big 300-pound nose guard, and you bring Sean Smith in, number 96. So you're trying to rest your front.
Yeah.
And Georgia's looking at that and running the ball at the backup defensive lineman.
Well, Uga likes it. That is only the first penalty of the ball game, with the exception of the kick that went out of bounds. From the 40. Second down, Kenny Bailey and a tailback, number 38. Out of Folkestone, Georgia. Fakes it to him, goes up on top, and on the far sideline, a little too tall. Brown with the cover. Edwards just couldn't get up there quite enough. I had to laugh at Terrence Edwards as we visited with him yesterday. Mike, he's a sprinter, a very good basketball player in high school as well. But I asked him, I said, how about going across the middle when you only weigh 165 pounds? And he said, I told Claude Feldman I've gained 8 pounds. I weigh 173 now. Claude, of course, is the longtime sports information
And
director.
you said Claude turned around and walked out.
Claude turned around and walked out of the room. 173 is not a lot to take over the middle as well. Backside pressure. Going to be sacked by Dennis Quinn, and you have to be impressed with the fact that all of a sudden when Green felt him, rather than throw an interception, he held on to
it, took the sack. Dennis Quinn's going to come off the edge, number 93, beats the block of George Foster. And now, Ron, it's settled down. It's becoming a field position battle now. You feel like both coaches are just trying to win the field position game.
Mike, the man who just made the tackle, Dennis Quinn, he has 2 interceptions against Georgia in that ball game last year. Remember, 5 turnovers by the Bulldogs
by
up there.
Quincy Carter.
And that spelled their doom.
Quincy, a very good quarterback here at Georgia. Starting for the Cowboys now.
Jonathan Kilgo stands by to punt. 8 minutes and 11 seconds left until halftime. Looks as though we have everything squared away. Kicks this one for the sideline. Wow, best kick of the night. He aired this one out, and it's goal. That thing did not go into the end zone. He caught the ball. They walk up the sidelines and they spot it at the 6.5-yard line.
Lost arc.
41 yards in the kick. Derek Watson at 6 carries, 10 yards, but his big weapon tonight, a 66-yard kickoff return. We'll be right back. Well, we're back. UGA in downtown Athens on the way to the stadium. Don't go away, folks. We'll have the UGA cam before the night is over. Don't want to miss that. Right now, he's lying on his bag of ice inside the doghouse. From the 6.5-yard line, Phil Petty. Quick pitch. Gets it out in the flat. That's Watson. And you can see Georgia is there just waiting. Bruce Thornton, number 7. And there were a lot of people there to help him quickly. Adrian Karsten.
Ron, I brought the laptop along to Athens this week to monitor the Ask Adrian website for the 3rd week in a row. Stephen from Bryson City, North Carolina wants to know what's the loudest stadium I've ever been in and who has the biggest advantage because of it. Well, first of all, Stephen, this is as loud as I've ever heard Sanford with this crowd here tonight, even going back to last year's upset over Tennessee. But honestly, Death Valley and Baton Rouge, there are a few stadiums in America I think are worth a touchdown, but the Bayou Bengals certainly have it down in Death Valley.
Yeah, they do now that they've gone over 90,000 also. South Carolina rolls the pocket. Be careful now. Gets the pass away, and it's out of bounds. It'll be incomplete. Grant and Adrian with pressure. And the thing you have to be careful of there, Mike, is not just being tackled for a safety. If one of those big linemen trying to help you out holds, that's a safety that occurs in the end zone.
Ron, I really think the crowd is affecting South Carolina's offense right now because it takes you out of checking off a little bit at the line of scrimmage. And South Carolina does a lot of 2-play, 3-play calls.
Watson just limped off the field. Now, I don't know if it's a cramp or what. We'll check on him, but he was favoring his right leg. 3rd down and 9. Hit, sacked at the 2.5 by Sullivan. To say that the folks here in Athens are aroused is an understatement.
Ron, I think now this is a great situation for Gary to return this kick.
Boy, I'll tell you, this is big right here as Watson limps off the field.
With Corey Brewer at the tailback position.
Ryan Brewer, the MVP last year in the Outback Bowl. Here comes the punt as Dean stands about 12 yards back, can't take the full 15 yards, and it's a line drive kick, very returnable. Hits the ground, and wow, there's a mistake. Big mistake by the return man, Damian Gary. Rather than at least catching the ball and getting a fair catch, he lost about 10. Well, tomorrow on ESPN, final round coverage, the PGA Bell Canadian Open. It'll start at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. The leader going into that final round, Scott Verplank at 11 under par. Tiger Woods is 3 under. And I'm sure you know, but in case you don't, this is a tough place because for Tiger, it's the only place in his professional career that he started and did not make the cut after the first 2 rounds.
Can't say that about many places. This is perfect field position for David Green.
Green puts it in the stomach of Musa Smith. And he's going to have at least 5 yards. Brian Kenny, what do you have for us?
Ron, we go back to really a big story in this early part of the college football season. Fresno State in Madison. And to open up the second half, Bernard Berrien, 96 yards. Fresno State beating Colorado, Wisconsin, and also Oregon State. We'll show you more at the half, Ron.
Okay, they are exciting, and they have earned every bit of praise that they have been given. David Green, Smith again, right up the middle. Great job of blocking by that offensive front. Knight, McGill, Breedlove, and that's going to be very close to another first down for Georgia. They're going to spot it down at the 44.
Georgia really needs to cash in here. They've been the beneficiary of great field position in this football game.
So the officials have called a timeout. They've had to bring the chains from across the way. Mark Richt appears very cool, calm, and collected. But funny in visiting with him yesterday that I asked him, I said, since you haven't done this before, Have there been a few occasions or numerous occasions where you picked up the phone and either called Coach Bowden or another mentor of yours and said, hey, give me some help? What would you suggest? And put my own mind to it. He said, I've done it a bunch. One of the guys that he has called also is Coach Dooley.
I'm sure Vince is right down the hall. So he likes that.
Haynes
Fumbled the football.
fumbled it, and at the 35-yard line, it's going to be a first down. Recovered by Damian Gary. Former head coach Vince Dooley, longtime athletic director here at the University of Georgia. This time the pitch goes to Musa Smith. Gets a good lead block, but I'll tell you, out there in the corner, nobody can handle Kalimba Edwards. And folks, the wonderful thing about this young man right here, Mike, you can play him up as a linebacker or you can play him down. Where do you think he'll play in the pros? Is he fast enough to play linebacker?
I think he's going to be a linebacker in the pros, and a lot of people compare him to Javon Curse. Talked to Mel Kiper a little bit about him today, but he likes to play down. If he had his preference, he'd go down and rush the passer.
Well, he causes a stir wherever he is located on that defensive front. And you see this time he is down. Second down and 12. About to go under 4 minutes left in the first half. And he gets wrestled to the turf on this play and then rushes the quarterback. It was Edwards who put the pressure on Kareem Marshall. Adrian Karsten.
Moments ago, Derek Watson, the all-star for the South Carolina offense, went into the locker room with an injury run. Here's how it happened. I am told not only with the shot that he took, but also cramping, and it's more the cramping that has everyone here on the sideline concerned, because if it's going to happen to a player like that, it's only a matter of time before it happens to other stars on the team. In the locker room, will probably be there until the half, taking IV as we speak.
Well, you're right, Adrian. Last week with the humidity in Tuscaloosa, looked like a war zone on that sideline. Green's pass, got it, zings it over the middle, and that's number 1, Reggie Brown. He'll go inside the 20, and it's 1st and 10, Georgia. The tackle made by Faison, but it's a gain of 18.
Reggie Brown is the fastest of the Georgia receivers. David Green continues to be right on the mark. Accurate passer.
Well, a little hurry up here, gets it out on the flat. That's Edwards. Gets it complete, and they will say the receiver's forced out of bounds at the 10. It's about 1 yard shy of the first down. 3 minutes, 50 seconds left until halftime, and this is the deepest penetration by the Georgia Bulldogs so far tonight.
Now you think about Musa Smith down here. You've opened him up throwing the football. See exactly what's happening. The official is slowing this thing down, but they're going to measure. But the crowd doesn't like it because they like the heat being on the South Carolina defense.
Exactly. Change come in and they stretch it out. And with that, it is a Georgia first down. Now, an observation in talking with Green after practice on Thursday, I said, you know, what have you gotten from your new head coach as far as the way you throw? And he said, he told me it doesn't matter actually about either the tightness of the spiral or how hard I throw it. He said, always look for accuracy, and those receivers 9 times out of 10 will catch the football.
He's got it right now, and also he's got a big-time tailback, Musa Smith.
Rogers Redding, the referee tonight from the Southeastern Conference, whistles it back in play. Yeah, you're right.
Pump him right at the South Carolina defense.
Haynes, the fullback, and he gets the handoff. It's going to be very short yardage as they tried to cross up the Gamecock defense, and nothing was there. Stamper made the tackle.
On that play, Ron, when you reverse out there, they want to make it look like it's going to be a pitch to Musa Smith. Try to catch the fullback in a quick hitter. But South Carolina really played it well.
Look for one of those 2 big tight ends, Ben Watson, number 89, or Randy McMichael, number 86. They are both huge targets, and they both catch the ball extremely well. Sets deep in the pocket, gets it for the end zone, in and out of the hands of Terrence Edwards. Oh, my goodness. Terrence, that was 6, and he knows it. He's upset with himself.
Terrence has dropped a few balls here in the first half. When you go to 2 tight ends, you get the single coverage on the outside. Terrence Edwards right through his hands. Beat Sheldon Brown, too. A pretty good corner.
Yep, he did. Nice pass, led him perfectly, and there's a timeout, so we will enjoy it with him. 3:15 left until halftime. South Carolina leads by 4, but that lead is being threatened. We'll be right back. Stamford Bridge, 7-3. South Carolina leads. This has been the score for some time, but you can see the Georgia Bulldogs as they send Kenny Bailey into the ball game at tailback, threatening it, and the football rests just inside the 10-yard line.
Ron, by this formation, you either look for Gary, the inside receiver at the top of the screen, or come down to the tight end right here.
They roll the pocket, and the left-hander gets it right back over to intercepted by number 20, Willie Alford.
They tried to get the ball to the tight end. Ben Watson on a crossing route.
And he threw it short. Watson is the man as Stamper was putting on pressure. And a big error right there by the freshman. Here's the replay, and you see him setting up and throwing back across his body.
Yeah, Watson, just act as a decoy and then across the formation. Willie Alford just sanded home and intercepted that ball.
Ryan Brewer checks in at tailback. He works along with Andre Pinnock in the backfield. And they give it to Pinnock, and the big fullback is going to rumble for a couple of yards. Brian Kenny, let's go to you again.
Ron, coming up at the half, Sports Center in-game. How good is Fresno State? We'll talk Bulldog power. Also, Washington and Michigan, a massive momentum change. Really just 2 plays there. Also have the latest on the SEC games, Ole Miss and Auburn, and Alabama and Vandy. We'll see you at the half, Ron.
Okay, that's great. If that score is correct, I saw it might be giving out calls of disband Maryland. Tell you what, they scored 50 points in that ball game. And now here comes a flag in from the referee, Rogers Ready.
Infraction against the offense. 12 players on the field. Half the distance of the goal. Still second down.
So in a few moments over on ESPN2, number 7 Tennessee tries to slow down Cedric Cobbs and the Arkansas Razorbacks. That's at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Tennessee and Arkansas. Cobbs lost last year to a knee. Now he's back full speed.
Ron, a big part of this Georgia defense right now is they still have 2 timeouts. So a lot of time to force something, turnover here or good coverage in the punt return game. So a lot of things could happen here in the last 2 minutes.
Short drop, quick out pass. Got to complete to Carlos Spikes, and a flag is down. As he'll get it to close to the 9-yard line. Tim Watsley is the man with the cover.
It's usually offsides from where they called this penalty. Nope.
Did a receiver get covered out there, Mike? Because I didn't see anybody move. I mean, did they not have enough men at the line of scrimmage?
Well, no, Lou has the same question.
Skip Holtz, his son, the offensive coordinator, standing just to lose left. Not enough men on the line of scrimmage. That was the call.
And they refused the penalty, so forcing it to 3rd down.
2:03 and now counting. We're under 2 minutes left until halftime. They got to take it out to just over the 13-yard line to pick up the first down. It's Corey Alexander in motion. Under pressure, and he's sacked. That's Josh Millard. 3rd time that they've gotten to Phil Petty tonight.
Josh Millard now has 14 quarterback sacks for his career. He's just really good at rushing the passer. They use him on third downs.
Has been a starter, but he likes the fact, the senior does, that they use him in a specialty role just as long as he gets to play. At a timeout called by Georgia. 1:18 remaining until halftime. A break in the action. Georgia looking for good field position. So we're back as you look at Terrence Edwards on the sideline. Boy, he dropped a touchdown pass on that last drive, and then Georgia was intercepted as the air was not put under the ball on the pass to the tight end. And Watson is so big, had he put air under it, I don't think the defensive back could have climbed up over it.
Ron, you got two choices here: to go after and block this punt and let your punt returner on his own or return it.
Again, it's a line drive kick. And Gary lets it bounce, and it goes down. It goes out of bounds at midfield.
I think the next time they have that situation, they're going to go for the block punt, because that's 2 times that Damian Gary has not been able to handle the punt.
And both have been dangerous if you're a South Carolina coach, player, or fan, because line drive kicks just get you murdered.
Usually come back quick.
1:09 left until halftime. And what do we got? 1 timeout remaining for the University of Georgia. Here come the Dogs. Again from a shotgun formation. Freshman David Green operating at quarterback. Tries to set up the screen. Kalimba Edwards is there. Gets it off to Bailey. Bailey will get out of bounds at the 45 and stop the clock. Kalimba Edwards was all over David Green. David is young in the conference, but he's going to know who Kalimba Edwards is by the time this night is over.
Charlie Strong with a good call, Ron, because a lot of teams start their 2-minute with a screen or a draw, and he knew that, so they were right on the screen. Oklahoma pulling ahead.
And Nebraska now 17-0 over the Irish. Tough trip for Bob Davie and company. Swings this one out. Musa Smith. Going to be a short gain. He'll take it back just across midfield. 50 seconds, now 49. Jeremiah Garrison, who's a sophomore out of Belton, South Carolina, makes the tackle.
If they can get out of this half, South Carolina's defense, they have had pressure on them this entire half with bad field position. That Georgia has good field position. They have not been able to get anything other than field goal.
Green got a man wide open. 33-yard line. That's Edwards. He caught that one, and it's 1st and 10. The new line of scrimmage is to 25.
Neesmith on the tackle.
And in case you have just joined us, what Mike Gottfried is talking about, Georgia in field position missed a field goal, and also Edwards dropped a touchdown pass. But they are making another attempt. Green's going to run. Gets one block and then slides down at the 21. Clock is up, or the crowd is up, I should say, and screaming for them to use that last time out, and they do. They stop it with 9 seconds left until halftime. Here's that pass that we were talking about just a moment ago, and Terrence is just not going to do this very often. A veteran receiver, and this ball is there, and he's working against actually the best Sheldon Brown of South Carolina, had him beaten and dropped the ball in the end zone. So just what Mike is talking about, the opportunities have been great for Georgia tonight, but for the young coaching staff, they have not been able to take advantage.
No, and the young quarterback just made a mistake here. Instead of throwing the ball away and stopping the clock, he runs for the try to pick up a couple yards, but they have to waste a timeout. Now you got 9 seconds and no timeout, so you really got to be smart now to get the.
You take one shot at the end zone.
Take one shot at the end zone. If you don't make it, kick the field goal.
Okay, so the situation 7-3. South Carolina leads it. They scored on the opening possession. Watson returned the opening kickoff 66 yards, and then South Carolina with 31 yards in the next 6 plays punched it into the end zone. That's their 7 points, and they have not been able to do it since. They're not going to take a chance. They're going to go for the field goal now.
And Ron, with the young quarterback, he's not going to take a chance of a mistake here. He's just going to kick the field goal.
So this is Bennett, an attempt of 38 yards from the near hash mark. good pass, and he split this one. Crowd in the end zone reaction. We got a 1-point game. So he's 2 of 3 on the night.
Charlie Strong, the defensive coordinator, has to feel good in one way, Ron, that they have been able to pull the stops when they needed to. The second reason, I think he's got to be a little concerned, though, because they've been out there so much.
That's what I was going to say.
They've given up a lot of plays, so he's got a big 300-pound middle guard, Langston Moore, 300 pounds. And so you figure in the fourth quarter, it's going to be an advantage for Georgia.
Because of the no huddle,
the pace of this game, and you know, you look at that defensive football team now, they've wore down a little bit here.
We'll take away South Carolina's opening kickoffs in the field position. South Carolina their own 19 and Georgia their own 37.
Yeah, South Carolina's offense, Georgia's really stopped them from making any kind of moves on offense. And the injury to Watson, you can believe this, it's on the minds of the football players of just how badly he is hurt, whether he's going to come back here in the second half. When you talked about when you have a great horse you're riding, well, the horse is in the barn right now.
That's right, and he's not in there eating hay. They're trying to revive him. Total yards, South Carolina 2 yards rushing and 43 passing, but they lead the ball game 7-6. Jonathan Kilgo to kick it off. Normally Kerouac is the kickoff man. He's got pulled groin muscle, and this is a squib kick picked up by one of the blocking backs across the 35 to the 40. It's Frankie McCullum who makes the kickoff return, and we are at halftime. So they head to the locker room, and it's a 1-point game. South Carolina on top. And let's go down to Adrian Karsten. Adrian?
Coach, the other day you told me it's very important to win the last 5 minutes of the first half. Are you concerned that Georgia controlled the momentum here?
Well, they're just beating us up front on both offense and defense. They're protecting the passer, and that's the difference. They're getting pressure and controlling the line, and we aren't. They're playing very, very well, but our players are hanging in there. We got to make some adjustments and see what can happen, but we've got to play better up front on both sides of the ball.
Are you concerned about the pace of the game? It's moving right along.
No, I don't think the pace is still going to be a 30-minute half. I think if they want to play it faster, the clock's still going to be 30 minutes. I'm more concerned about what we do than I am what anybody else does.
Understood, Coach. I appreciate it. Ron, I will check on Derek Watson's condition and have that update after the half.
Okay, Adrian, great hustle there. 7-6 our score, Brian Kenny. And let's go back to you in the studio.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. 7-6 South Carolina leading Georgia.
South Carolina 7-6 as we begin the third quarter. And in Game Tracks, this is a good example to show you exactly what has happened tonight. South Carolina started off very rapidly. Watson in the opening kickoff set up their first touchdown drive, 66 yards, but he was injured in the first half. And for Georgia, they had their opportunities, a missed field goal, and also a missed touchdown in the end zone. Since South Carolina scored that opening drive touchdown, 12 net yards since then. Mike Godfrey, the interesting thing, and we understand we're going to get an update from Adrian. Can South Carolina, with Watson on the sideline, or if he's injured, can they win this ball game?
Yeah, I really do believe Ryan Brewer, we saw him last year in the Outback Bowl, and he single-handedly had a great game against Ohio State. But Phil Petty, 7-9 for only 43 yards, so he got to throw the ball down the field more. And the longest run from scrimmage South Carolina's had, 9 yards. Wow. So no big plays.
No big plays at all as you look at Watson on the sideline. After this kickoff, we'll go down to Adrian to get a full report on his physical situation. Deep in the end zone, he's going to return it 3 yards deep, and it's to Corey Bryant. Puts the head down and takes it strong out to the 37. Adrian, now give us an update on number 22.
Well, offensively, the Gamecocks have a headache, literally. It wasn't so much the cramping that Derek Watson was having trouble with 5 minutes left in the first half. He took a shot to the head. This is exactly what Lou Holtz told me. They're not using the word concussion, but he says he's only about 40 or 50%. So what do you do to replace him? Well, Lou says literally you don't. We're going to have to pass more, but Ryan Brewer now. becomes the spotlight as far as the offense is concerned with the Gamecock. Watson says he wants to go, but he's a whole lot less than 100% wrong.
Musa Smith, the other tailback, bounces it to the outside. Has 5, and almost that he does. He's got 10 yards in the play. Sheldon Brown knocked him out of bounds.
To me, the difference in this football game for Georgia, if they're going to win, is number 32, Musa Smith. Because he's just such a weapon running the football and catching the football out of the backfield.
He gets a breather. Number 28, Jasper Sanks, a senior out of Columbus, Georgia, checks in at tailback. 6'1", 237 on Sanks. They give it to him right up the middle. Big burst and a fresh set of legs. Can do worlds. Inside the 40, down to the 38. Willie Alford on the tackle. That's a gain of 14.
Jasper Sanks looks fresh. First time in the ball game running the football. Rushed a lot of yards for Jim Donnan's crew. Was their feature back.
And keep it on the ground again. As Harney, who led everybody in tackles in the first half, that is his 9th tackle of the night. 6 solos, is there to make the tackle. And a huge hand for Sanks as he comes off the field. Musa Smith comes back in. Mike, that's a pretty good 1-2-3 punch with Bailey as second team and Sanks at third. Smith and Musa will put a head down. Nothing wrong with 4.5 yards per tote.
Neil Callaway's also been an offensive line coach, so he probably has challenged this offensive line in the second half to come out here and knock South Carolina off the ball. And that's exactly what their strategy has been in this first 3 plays.
Smith again, this time to the left side. Runs into his own blocker, still fights his way. He'll go inside the 30 to around the 28. Willie Alford making the stop.
An interesting statistic in the first half for Georgia, 7 for 12 on 3rd downs. So you'd figure they'd score a lot of points.
Right.
2 field goals is all they've had. So they misfired in the red zone.
They have missed literally 10 points that they should have had. A drop touchdown and a missed field goal. 4th and inches, and they're going to go for it. They give it to Smith. Over the top, first down, Georgia. Jeremiah Garrison defensively, but not before they'll move the chains again.
Ron, this offensive line of Georgia is really coming off the ball. And this is a veteran offensive line. When you look at Stinchcomb, the right tackle, number 78, a junior. They got a senior on that side, Breedlove, Kevin Breedlove. So they're an experienced offensive line.
Stinchcomb, a junior. You remember his brother Matt, first-round draft choice at Oakland. Kenny Bailey comes in the lineup. He'll pick up about 3 yards. He was one of the players that we visited with yesterday, Michael, John Stinchcomb. And what a breath of fresh air. Outstanding football player is number 78. A leader on this team, but he also is a leader in the classroom. He is on the dean's list. He is a microbiology major and wants to become a doctor.
He has the whole package.
Sanks back in, gets the ball, puts a head down. He'll have 4 yards. And boy, again, to me, it's like the game of golf. Georgia is leaving themselves 6- and 8-foot putts for par. And right here, they're going to have a 3rd down, and they need what, about 3.5 yards?
I think their thinking is to go to 4-down territory, just kind of keep this football on the ground, run it, get 4th and short, and make that.
Carolina comes up with the corners, then they back off. Green, too high. Now decision time. Gary, the man it was intended for. You go for the field goal here, try to take the lead.
I think you go for the field goal. Nice drive, but again, misfiring. I don't think South Carolina stopped them on that drive. They stopped themselves.
Yeah. Billy Bennett, 2 of 3 tonight from 45 and 38. This is going to be a 37-yard attempt. The one that he missed was from 44. Block. Recovered after being touched by South Carolina.
Still South Carolina's ball.
Yeah, because it never went across the neutral zone.
And Ron, Langston Moore, number 57, blocked that field goal. And we talked about the big 300-pound nose guard, and got his hand on that field goal.
So we'll take a break as Langston Moore celebrates on the far sideline. It's still Carolina 7-6. A lot of folks standing here at Sanford Stadium. It's been exciting, 7-6, and we just had more excitement as Georgia misfires again. Mike, what happened?
Right here, Alex Jackson, number 79. Langston Moore just blew through and got his hand up on the field goal attempt and blocked it. And South Carolina now in business on offense.
South Carolina needs a sustained drive to give that defense some rest. Watson back in the ball game. Going to be corralled after a gain of 2 by David Jacobs. Big number 99. And we'll see how affected Watson is.
He didn't look like he blew it up in there on that play. And we talked about from the start of this show about Jonathan Sullivan and David Jacobs replacing Marcus Stroud and Richard Seymour. And they have really been up to the task tonight as that defensive line has really played hard for Georgia.
You see Charles Grant, the veteran defensive end, trying to get this crowd into it. Phil Petty got it complete at the 48-yard line, and guess who? Ryan Brewer. Folks, he's not the fastest, he's not the quickest, he's not the tallest. He is just a good football player.
Ryan Brewer with a good catch, Ron. We saw him last year against Ohio State in the Outback Bowl. He's the most valuable player.
On punt returns, you say, well, why do they have a guy back receiving the punt who's not blistering speed? And Coach Holt said simple. He never drops the football.
No,
he's got the most sure hands.
He was sure-handed on that pass play.
Plays will tail back, and they use him in the slot at wide receiver. Fake it to Watson, end around. Number 10 is Spikes. They run him back into the boundary. Wow, he took a pretty good shot from Witherspoon and also Tim Wansley.
When you reverse a fast team, sometimes you'll catch him. But Will Witherspoon, number 46, just made up so much ground. He had 85 tackles last year, 6 tackles for losses. He's a very active linebacker.
See the numbers on Witherspoon. He simply goes by Spoon, senior out of Panama City, Florida.
Ron, you're sometimes one player away from a big play, and that was the last play for South Carolina.
2nd down and 7. Petty got his man, gets it to number 88, James Atkinson, a senior transfer from Kemper Junior College by way of St. Louis.
A nice route right here by Atkinson.
So it's 1st and 10.
Here's Atkinson on the outside, just reverses out for the 1st down against Bruce Thornton. Nice route. Start inside, hairpin back outside, get the defender on your hip.
Coach Holtz pacing on the far sideline because this is the best sustained drive they've had since way back in the 1st quarter. Phil Petty will keep it on a draw. David Jacobs grabs him and knocks him down, trying to move behind the blocking of Big Mel Page over there. Adrian Karsten, let's check with you again.
Keeping a close eye on Derek Watson, who is now coming out of the game as I speak here, Ron. 1 carry and 4 or 5 plays there for about 3 or 4 yards. The problem is he isn't even downfield blocking now, and I don't think they're going to throw to him, possibly in a decoy role, but he's getting just past the line of scrimmage and just falling to his face.
2nd down. They need to take it to the 32-yard line of Georgia. Puts it in the stomach of his tailback. Nothing there. That's Trevin Smith, the sophomore out of Moncks Corner, South Carolina, just outside of Columbia, and he goes for virtually nothing. Brian Kenny, let's go to you again.
Ron, Oregon State trying to bounce back from its loss to Fresno State, taking on New Mexico State. And here Ken Simonton would go in. Simonton with the touchdown, the drive 82 yards. New Mexico State failed to convert a fake field goal, so it's still 7-0. Ron?
All righty. Boy, you talk about tough preseason schedules. New Mexico State has had one as well. They were in Texas last week.
Started with Louisville.
3rd down and 8. 2 of 7 on 3rd down conversions tonight. Here comes the pressure. Petty's going to have to run it. Gets by the first linebacker, not by Tony Gilbert. And you have to say that this defensive front, who lost 2 guys to the NFL last year, I think the defensive front has acquitted itself extremely well.
They played well, Ron. They're trying to get the ball to Ryan Brewer on that last pass play. and they did a good job. Will Weatherspoon makes contact with him and then turns him over to the other linebacker. Pretty good coverage. Phil Petty pulls it down, tries to run for the first down.
Looks like a pooch kick coming. Joey Bowers, number 90, would like to knock this one. That's going to be a fake. Given inside, gets by one tackler, not going to have it. That is Derek Watson, who came back into the lineup, and he put it in his stomach, and nothing doing. Georgia's going to take it over at the 33-yard line.
Anytime you start crossing up in there, Georgia's playing punt safe all the way.
Weatherspoon finally stopped him.
Yeah, you see the defense by Georgia. They're playing the punt safe all the way because they know it could be a fake punt. Josh Millard on the tackle.
So let's take a commercial. Carolina still by 1. Well, like I was saying, good play. But on the offensive side of the ball, that's what's got to pick up, big guy. 7:37 remaining third quarter. We stand just as we did back in the first. Rogers ready. The referee whistles the ball in play, and here comes Georgia.
Still think the difference in this ball game can be Musa Smith.
South Carolina only 79 total yards. David Green from the shotgun gets out the short pass, and that's Reggie Brown. Sheldon Brown makes the tackle. And tonight's Aflac trivia question: who was the last head coach to win his first South Carolina-Georgia game? That answer will come later on. Got to be second down and short. Georgia comes with 2 tight ends, Watson and McMichael. Brown now 3 catches for 25. And Musa Smith hit it to line of scrimmage, breaks off the tackle, and with the second effort, he will have the first down. Kalima Moore will finish him off, but it was Langston Moore who hit him first. Kalima Edwards will get credit for the tackle, though.
Ron, an impressive back. Musa Smith, 6'1", 212. Reminds me a little of Deshaun Foster, who I think is the best back in the country at UCLA.
Musa Smith gets it again. Over the 50, down into South Carolina territory.
Another good job by the offensive line. On the left side, George Foster, a junior, 6'6", 321, and the left guard, Alex Jackson, 6'4", 337. So beginning to wear on the front of South Carolina.
Curtin McGill, number 54, goes out over the football. And they give this one to Jasper Sanks. Jasper wiggling his way for a couple, very close to the first down, but I don't believe he got it. Langston Moore will get credit for the tackle. And as they unstack, Curtin McGill, as I mentioned in the starting lineup, he came to Georgia as the best defensive player in the state of Georgia. His dad had played linebacker here. He came as a defensive end. They moved him to linebacker, and then they said, hey, we need another center, and didn't want to do it. Talked to his dad, and he said, that's a great situation. Corey Phillips comes in at quarterback, and straight ahead with the handoff, close to the first down.
Ron, I saw David Green stretching before a play, so maybe he pulled a muscle or got tight, but Corey Phillips, a veteran, took over last year in the quarterback position when Quincy Carter got hurt. So
Everybody looking toward the bench, and Corey Phillips getting the play. He's still warming up, so obviously this was not a planned event.
No.
Musa Smith and Green both on the bench right now. Jasper Sanks still in the ball game. Short yardage set, and Sanks straight ahead. He'll have the first down. Not by much, but it would appear from where the linesman came in that you can move the chains again for the University of Georgia.
The great thing about Corey Phillips coming into the ball game, he's very experienced in big games. So you bring him off the bench, you're not bringing a guy off that hasn't been in a ball game before. He knows what it takes to win.
It looks as though they're checking over his throwing arm. Musa Smith back in the lineup. Musa, good second effort. Inside the 40, down to the 38. Brian Kenny, what do you have for us this time?
Ron, we go back to Oregon State, New Mexico State. Patrick McCall this time for 22 yards. Oregon State now taking a 14-0 lead. Mike mentioned Louisville, Texas, Oregon State, and guess what? They're at K-State in 2 weeks. That's New Mexico State's schedule.
Wow, that's a tough one.
Making a lot of money.
Yeah, the boys from Las Cruces are filling up their bank coffers. Musa Smith. Whoa, does he get tagged at the line of scrimmage? Langston Moore. Langston's been outstanding tonight. He and Kalimba Edwards up on that front.
I've really been impressed with Langston Moore. He gets a good push on the center. You talked about Kurt McGill being a very good center. You get the guy leaning on you the whole ball game at 6'2", 300 pounds, and he's got quickness too.
Yeah, 300-pounder can lean the way most people can't lean, wouldn't you say?
Doing a lot of leaning.
Jasper Sanks, the man at the top of the eye. 3rd down, 9th play of the drive. I need to take it to the 34-yard line. Play action, lofts this one out, and a good hit on Vernon Haynes. Pass is incomplete, and Jermaine Lemon is the man who was out there to help make the play.
See, Jermaine Lemon didn't take the run fake at all. He knew the fullback was going to slip out in the flat, so the fullback comes out in the flat, and welcome to Jermaine Lemon with a good tackle. So again, South Carolina giving up yards, but when they have to stop them, they stop them.
3rd punt of the night. Try to get a report on David Green and see the extent of that injury to his left arm. Ryan Brewer. Very high kick. Good coverage kick. And Georgia knocks it back into the field of play. It's going to be down inside the 5. That is outstanding special teams. Ryan Davis is the man who knocked it back out. 36 yards in the punt. South Carolina takes over at their own 2. So as they check over the quarterback, Green on the sideline, we'll take a break. 7-6 South Carolina. Upon further review, our guys have got great angles of everything. Look what happened. Just like last week, UCLA. If you're on the field of play, you can knock it back out. But if you are on, if you go across that goal line, it comes back out to the 20, and that's exactly what happened. So Davis got his moment of glory. He's laughing, saying, well, hey, it was a good college try, and it was. But South Carolina could breathe a little easier because they're about 18 yards farther upfield.
Ron, now they're going to go with Brewer at the tailback position. I figure it's just a matter of time till you take Derek Watson out and put Brewer in.
Well, you saw him. He just went into the line, into the locker room. And Brewer hit at the line of scrimmage by Gilbert. And Gilbert will knock him down, and that's going to be a short gain, if any. In fact, they're going to say no gain. Josh Millard was there as well. Tony Gilbert, very hard-nosed player, calls those defensive signals. 6'1", 246, a junior out of Macon, Georgia. Under 3 minutes to play, 3rd quarter. Matthew Thomas down at the bottom of the screen. He's a freshman for South Carolina, out of the state of Georgia. They think he's going to be a really good one. Blitz is on, pass right over the middle, and he's got it complete at the 35-yard line. That'll be plenty enough for the 1st down. Brian Kenny, what do you got for us this time?
Ron, they're trying to christen the new Razorback Stadium. They can fit 21,000 more people there, but a little lightning is going to stop that once again. Suspended indefinitely because of lightning, Tennessee and Arkansas until further notice. No score in the 1st.
Okay, smart move, obviously. Might we have had more games this year that have been delayed? And we've got a penalty on this
We have holding against the offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay 2nd down.
So you have to erase the nice catch by James Atkinson, the transfer out of Kemper Junior College, number 88.
That's what they needed, Ron. They need to throw the ball down the field and get a big play. Lou Holtz talked the other day about this is not a big play offense. And what you're seeing is how South Carolina won last year. Don't make any mistakes. Play to our defense, special teams, and that's what they're doing tonight. They got a slim 1-point lead.
Watson, as you can see, back on the field of play. They set screen back into the boundary. Brewer behind blockers, spins, turns. He's going to have the 1st down, and he's loose. Still loose. The 50-yard line down to the 46, and his name shouldn't be Brewer, it should be Hart. I'm telling you, this kid, 44 yards. We saw it last year in Tampa, and a flag is down. I think he got grabbed by a face mask, Mike, at the 45-yard line.
Ryan Brewer is the kind of player you want to go to war with. Mr. Ohio football by Prep Magazine. Had a big game against Ohio State. Does so many things. Runs the football, catches the football. Good block by the center, Larrell Johnson.
We have a face mask foul against the defense. 5-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down.
So he gained 44, tack on 5 more, and he just completely flipped the field on it.
He really did. A good screen, good job by Phil Petty, sets it up. There's a couple missed tackles, 2 of them. There's 2 more. There's the face mask. Finally, they bring him down. But Ryan Brewer, just the players on South Carolina like to play with him.
Because they know the positive results are going to come. He's amazing. From the 42-yard line. Petty sets, going to go up on top down the far sideline. He's got single coverage, and it is incomplete. That's Atkinson, who is 6'5", and are trying to pick on Wansley. And I mentioned off the top of the telecast, Wansley only 5'9", and that's quite a mismatch.
Yeah, but he was right up for the challenge, Joe, just stride for stride with Atkinson.
Coach Holtz looking up at the scoreboard. Actually, Lou is looking at the replay there that everybody else in the stadium is enjoying. Wanted to see exactly how close that play was. Petty 10 of 13, 107 on the night. As we had gone under 2 minutes left in the third. Puts it in the stomach of his tailback, Brewer. Short gain, if any, this time. It'll be 3rd down and long. Charles Grant, David Jacobs combining on the stop for Georgia.
Here's the jump ball that Lou Holtz was looking for. Atkinson 6'5", like you say.
Oh boy,
he had a chance against Tim Wansley.
He really did. Just not much you can do if you're Wansley when you got a guy that can run equal to you and can leap and is that many inches taller.
Yeah, Ron, the benefit of having Brewer in the ball game now, he's even at the running back position. Great receiver out of the backfield.
Here comes an audible. Play clock down to 6, down to 5. They're leading him to block right over the middle. Got it complete to Ages. The fastest of the South Carolina wide receivers, good for 13, and it's a 1st down for the Gamecocks.
Veteran quarterback Phil Petty taking over this football game. Hits the quick slant in front of Bruce Thornton. Phil Petty, they talked about he's the best distributor of the football for their offense.
I told you
last week he hit through for 220 yards.
As I mentioned, he now has 2 good wheels. He ran a 4.62 back in the offseason. With 1st down, pitches it back to Brewer, weaves his way, just cannot get around Charles Grant. The big defensive end, the junior out of Colquitt, 6'4", 267. Also Tony Gilbert out there to help. To continue that conversation about Phil Petty, he walked into the office of Charlie McAlexander, who's the play-by-play guy for South Carolina. And Charlie has a picture with Archie Manning on the wall, and he said, I didn't know you were friends with him. He's my idol. I went to his quarterback camp down in New Orleans when I was in high school, and he said, who picked me up at the airport? Mr. Manning. And he said, I dreamed of meeting the guy, and he said, what a great camp. He said, it really got me going in my career. That is the end of the 3rd quarter. We'll take a break. 15 minutes left in the Southeastern Conference opener between the bordering states of South Carolina and Georgia, and the Gamecocks are still on top by 1. Fourth and final period, 7-6 South Carolina, and the Gamecocks are driving. For those of you wanting to see the Arkansas-Tennessee game, you haven't missed a thing. We've just been told that the lightning storm obviously has moved away, and they will resume play at 5 minutes past 10, about 5 minutes from now. So you're not missing any action if you're a Tennessee fan or a Razorback fan. Enjoy this one. Plenty of time on the play clock, but Petty obviously calling an audible. Puts this one up on top for the end zone. It is incomplete, and that's Matthew Thomas he was looking for. So the game track on this one tonight, the opening conference game for Georgia and South Carolina. 134, South Carolina, 256 yards for Georgia. Edwards, the drop TD pass. Terrence going to get tired of seeing this one, but he knows he should have caught that. Here is that blocked field goal attempt. South Carolina took the ball over. Georgia, field goal missed, field goal blocked. They had really had their opportunities. 3rd down and 10. Blitz off the corner. Steps up into the pocket. Now he's going to run it, and he's going to try to pick up the first down. It'll be a yard short, maybe a half yard short.
Good decision by Phil Pettio. He stretched it out, pumped the football like he was going to throw it, bought himself some time to get close to that first down marker. Real smart, heady play. The blitz is on. Now he raises the football like he's going to throw it, pumps it, tries to get everything he can get.
See, and the smart thing, Mike, he did have a receiver. You could see Corey Alexander, but he was well short of the first down, so he said, that's not going to get us anything. So tucked it and ran, tried to jump over the defensive players, and they're about a half yard shy. This is Gilbert, who was shaken up, the middle linebacker. Brian Kenny, while we got a second, let's go back to you. What's happening?
Ron will get you to USC and Kansas State. USC driving down by 4. Carson Palmer puts the football in but loses the football. K-State gets it back and they win as a result, 10-6.
Well, that's the mark of K-State. They have really become an outstanding defensive team. 4th down and 1, they go for it. Georgia crowds at the line of scrimmage.
Trying to draw them off, Ron.
You see the hard count. Going to call the timeout. Coach Godfrey, you were exactly right.
Now the decision, do you kick the field goal or go for the first down? Now that's a lot like a basketball, where a coach will set up a play and then call timeout the defensive guy. That's what Skip Holtz wanted to see, what kind of defense Georgia was going to be in.
Well, you get a little bit more time to think about it. There's a timeout.
ESPN's presentation of Primetime College Football is brought to you by Holiday Inn, who gives you more, and more is better.
So the situation. South Carolina will go for it. 4th down and about a half yard, maybe even less. And looking at what their field goal kicker has done, he's a youngster. Kicked a 56-yarder in high school, but his longest in college is only 29. South Carolina 0 for 1 in 4th down conversions tonight. Straight ahead with the fullback. Pinnock is hit, and he's not going to have it. They're 0 for 2. 45, Boss Bailey.
Adrian Hollingshead also with a big hit. Depends where they spot it. Nope, they're giving it to Georgia. You're right.
Lou down the sidelines, probably saying that they should have measured, but you can see he does not achieve the yard stripe, which is where they needed to go, to the 20.
Boy, good hits by the backers. The defensive line absorbed the blocks. Adrian Hollingshead with a good tackle.
And also Jonathan Sullivan with good penetration, number 57. David Green back in the game at quarterback. So it answers our questions as to his health. Swings this one out, and this is what he does best. Musa Smith, this kid has a really nice touch on the football, Mike. He zips it just enough, but it's still an easy catchable ball.
You make a good point, because the short ball, sometimes you can throw it too hard, and it's a tough ball to catch. Musa Smith didn't have any problem because he takes the short ball and he takes a lot off of it.
Two tight end alignment as they scrimmage from the 29.5-yard line. He'll go straight ahead and have the first down. Adrian Karsten, what do you have for us?
David Green was just simply a victim of muscle cramping. I know it sounds redundant, but all it is, Ron, you just don't take enough liquids. Your muscles tighten up. You have to sit down and stretch your muscles. Ironically, because Carolina controlled the ball for so long, that's exactly what David could do. Get some liquids, get stretched out. Now he's back in the game.
Okay, Adrian, we'll see if they can get that long drive coming here, because they need some points. We've been sitting on 7-6 for a time. Good job of the offensive front. Going to go long down the middle. Too tall for Damian Gary.
Musa Smith may have been the target that they were going to try to go to here. Langston Moore, the defensive middle guard, you're going to see him pick him up. Yeah, he knew that they were going to try to keep the ball in Musa Smith's hands, so he dropped off and zone blitz.
Those short passes to the tailbacks have really been successful for Georgia tonight. Green under pressure, dumps this one off, and that's good to Terrence Edwards. It's good out to the 38-yard line. Now it's going to be third down. They need to go to the 44 to get the first down. Charlie Strong, the defensive coordinator for South Carolina. Mark Richt playing the chess match. The new head coach and, of course, longtime offensive coordinator for Florida State. Played at Miami, played professionally at Buffalo. First head coaching job here at Athens.
Played for Howard Schnellenberger at Miami.
That's Gary in motion. Fakes it to him. Under pressure. Right over the middle. Could not come back and get it. Terrence Edwards.
Boy, he had him wide open. Good pressure.
Moore and Columba Edwards.
Yeah, by the South Carolina defensive line. Again, not giving David Green time enough to find Terrence Edwards. So again, Charlie Strong, his defensive unit, bends a little bit, but they never break.
You know, that's the way they played this entire ball game. It is the fourth time that Kilgore will have punted tonight. Good coverage kick, very high and long, and the catch is made by Ryan Brewer. Well, coming up after the ball game, ESPN Sports Center with Rich Eisen and John Anderson. The Irish Cream. Williams wins U.S. Open, and a wild card. And for continuing post-game coverage from here in Athens, tune into ESPN News immediately following the ball game. We know that both Zena and her sister were playing for the championship. So obviously it is a Williams who wins. Venus Williams and Serena, her sister, playing for the championship. Side arms that one.
Tim Wansley, Ron, just came underneath the block and made the hit on the 6'5" James Atkinson before he could ever get started. That's the way to play the quick screen.
About to go under 12 minutes left in the ball game. South Carolina, they would love to have a little distance put between themselves and Georgia, but also just as long as they can run time off that clock. A second down and 10 now. Pinnock and Watson, the two setbacks. Swings this one out to Watson. Look how quickly Wansley come up. He came up there and he read that play all the way. And the minute he saw Watson come out in the flat, he was there quickly.
Ron, you're exactly right. You tell corners to take a picture, and when you see what's developed, make a move. And then from start to finish, Tim Wansley does a perfect job. Watch number 2 here, the corner. Reads it. Now he breaks and makes the tackle before the big offensive tackle, Melvin Page, can get on him.
Wansley now 6 tackles for him. Third down. They need to take it all the way out to the 26-yard line. Otherwise, Georgia gets it back. Under 11 minutes to play. Too high. And he hung his receiver out there. We'll see if he gets up and is okay. That's Atkinson. And Atkinson appears to be okay. That's Jermaine Phillips.
Yeah, with a good hit, Ron. Now good field position for Georgia again. Damian Gary, who's had some good returns, get another chance.
He's also loused up a couple of returns that he didn't catch. He needs to make the catch on this one, whether he gets a return or not. Sixth punt of the night by South Carolina. They got the return on. Best kick of the night by him. Way back inside the 40. And it's going to be tackled on a nice open field hit. That's great coverage by 25, Brian Elam. 52 yards and a kick and a -4 on the return. So we'll take a break. South Carolina continues to lead by 1, just over 10 minutes to play. And this is what caused the defense to get a break. Phil Petty on the sideline, just receiving a visit from Skip Holtz, the offensive coordinator. And they were going over strategy and also talking about what happened on that last series. It was well defended by Georgia.
You got a certain time frame that you got to get that ball in between two deep coverage in the fade, and he hung him out too long.
Green sets deep in the pocket this time. Thrown a little high for his tight end McMichael, and he gets blasted. Brian McKinney.
Ron, South Florida earlier in the day with only its second game as a 1A football program beats Pittsburgh. Huey Whitaker busting loose here, making the right move, and South Florida beats Pittsburgh 35-26. Ron?
Wow. Thanks, Brian Kenny. Nothing's sacred. Nobody is safe this season. Green now gets this one away and he throws it short. Terrence Edwards was closely guarded. Looks like Sheldon Brown, who had the cover on him, and he just threw it into the ground.
You can see a little of the inexperience now on David Green in the second half. Flag came down late. He's past the line of scrimmage when he threw the football.
Illegal pass.
We have an illegal forward pass. The passer was beyond the line of scrimmage when the ball was thrown. 5-yard penalty, loss of down, third down.
Okay, so Rogers Redding with a good explanation. It is a loss of down and a 5-yard penalty. The answer to tonight's Aflac trivia question: who was the last head coach to win his first South Carolina-Georgia game? And the answer is Sparky Woods, South Carolina, 1989.
He's calling plays now for Mississippi State. Successful head coaching at Appalachian State and South Carolina. Very fine football coach.
Here comes the pressure. Green, just as he's being grabbed in, and boy, Terrence Edwards has had a forgettable night. That's 4 drops that we know of.
Almost started running before he made the catch. Receiver coaches always teach, look the ball in, then bring it into your stomach.
This is just most un-Terrence-like. He's normally the sure-handed guy that he's the big play man too. And again, that ball hit him just like the touchdown pass right in the midst. Great coverage kick. All the way back to the 12-yard line as Brewer. Flag comes down. And this long return is going to come back. He will be tackled at the 47-yard line.
And they're going to have real bad field position because it happened about the 9-yard line.
52 yards in the kick and 33 on the return, but bring it all back.
May have been a defensive back, Kevin House, number 29. And he did the worst thing he could do. He raised his hands like I didn't do it. Here's Kevin House.
Blocking on 33, Davis.
Watch him raise his hand like I committed a foul.
That's right. When you rear end somebody, you're at fault. Isn't that right?
Well, all over America.
That's exactly right. Agent and I agree. Penalty takes it back to the 5-yard line. It is a first down, South Carolina. 9 minutes and 34 seconds left in the ball game.
That was big, Ron. You circle that block because Lou Holtz is getting on the special teams right now because that was the difference in about 40 yards of real estate.
Oh, no question. He was out, Mike, to the 44-yard line. You're right.
And real estate is expensive tonight in Athens.
Narrowly flips it to the wingman. Cody Alexander at the 10. Gets spun around and knocked out of bounds by 46, Will Witherspoon. Adrian Karsten, let's check with you again.
Well, they've already lost Derek Watts in South Carolina has, so they cannot obviously afford to lose anyone, including Ryan Brewer. Why would you put a blanket on a warm night tonight? Well, he didn't, Ryan. Now, space-age football. Tubes coming out from behind the cape. He is actually hooked up to an air conditioner to avoid cramping, to avoid overheating. He did that right before he went in on that punt return.
Second down and 4. Going to keep it himself. And Petty will spin around, go forward to the 20, just beyond. Wansley tripped him up, gain of 9, and it's first down.
South Carolina needs a drive here, and again, since the both first scores and then the second field goal, it's been all field position battling by both head coaches and both staffs, trying to gain an edge. Georgia had him backed up inside the 10, couldn't hold him.
Play clock at 5. Petty threw it behind him. Brian Scott is who he wanted, the senior out of Darlington, South Carolina. Boss Bailey.
And you talk, Ron, about early in the year, and we said it from the start, the loser tonight is really got an uphill battle because you got Tennessee and Florida in this division. So, and neither one of these teams have had a lot of success against either one of those two teams. Well, I look at the losers out. That's what they're battling for here.
Mark continues to pace the sideline, looking up at that clock. He'll keep it again after faking it to Pinnock into the line. Witherspoon trips him up. And let's see, they're going to give him forward progress to around the 28, maybe the 28 and a half. So it's going to be short yardage, but they do not have the first down.
Yeah, Phil Petty going to fake the draw and then come backside. He reads that all the way, and if he sees an opening, he keeps the football.
When you talk about a big play, folks from Georgia are getting awfully excited because they want to get a stop right here and get the football back. That clock is moving way too quickly for them. Here comes the blitz from the outside. They pick it up nicely. Pass complete. Has the first down at the 35, and there's a flag down.
But I think it's going to be pass interference on Georgia because defender, they're a little early.
On Brian Scott.
We have pass interference against the defense. The penalty is declined. The yardage is good for a first down.
Terrell Vieira, number 15, on the interference against Brian Scott, number 82, holding him. Then he's over the back.
Vieira was the strong safety last year. They moved him to free this year. Junior out of Slidell, Louisiana. Pennock. They put the 250-pounder at tailback, and he's close to a 10-yard gain. Bruce Adrien will make the tackle for Georgia, and now that Georgia defense looking a little bit weary. And if the 250-pounder can continue to pound away, that's just what Lou Holtz would like to have happen.
You want to get this clock to disappear. 7:24 on the clock. Andrew Pinnock's a fullback, but he can be the one back in two tight end offense. Just think of that penalty now. Had they had the ball at the 40, they would have been well in Georgia territory.
You bet they would. About to go under 7 minutes left in the ball game. Pennock again. Hit to the ankles by Sullivan. Jonathan has had a good game tonight. Brian Kenny, let's check with you again.
Ron, we get back to New Mexico State and Oregon State. We talked about how tough the schedule was, but New Mexico State, they're not going away yet in this one. Keith Kenton goes in, and it's a 14-9 ball game. Washington State, meantime, big over Boise State right now in the fourth quarter. Ron?
Well, that's an improved football team there. Washington State, I saw them about a week ago against Idaho on TV, and they are vastly improved.
In New Mexico State in their opening week, they had over 500 yards or close to 500 yards in total offense in that one.
They're running Nebraska's offense. Tony Samuels, head coach.
So it's first down. And the clock moves. 6:40, 6:39 and counting. Georgia faithful up and cheering and trying to get the Dogs to get a turnover here. Get the ball back. Petty. The guard stepped on his foot.
Melvin Page.
Actually, the tackle, Big Melvin, stepped on him and he went down. Nothing you could do about that. By the way, on Melvin, besides being a good football player, I am told, Mike, very improved player. He plays 5 different instruments. Players love to be around him. Piano, plays a trombone. Yeah. Very talented fella.
Biggest tuba player, 6'5", 305.
He dropped the tuba on his quarterback's foot that time. Watson back in the ball game. A set screen with Watson. Hit immediately. Loses the ball and picked out. That's Thornton down the sideline. At the 10-yard line, he is dragged down.
Will Witherspoon, Ron.
First turnover of the ball game. Witherspoon is the one who causes it.
Good hit by Will Witherspoon. Bruce Thornton. Bruce Thornton used to be a running back, so he likes carrying that football.
Yeah, they moved him over from offense to play at the corner. Phillips at quarterback. Heads for the end zone with this one. That's going to be well overthrown. And the flag is down. Terrence Edwards reached down and picked it up to accentuate the fact that he thought Anton Neesmith was guilty of the foul.
Had to be holding because the ball was well above the receiver.
Couldn't have caught it.
With a net.
We have holding against the defense. The penalty is half the distance to the goal. Because of holding against an eligible receiver, it's an automatic first down.
Well, that's the key because it's holding an intended receiver. It's an automatic first down.
I'll be surprised if Musa Smith doesn't get this football.
That's the reason they're chanting moo, moo, moo. And they give it to him. Right side, Smith, shoulder down to the 1. Sheldon Brown makes the stop for South Carolina.
This is a team, Ron, that's won 4 bowl games, been in 4 bowl games under Jim Donnan. So they got a lot of players back with a lot of experience and won a lot of football games.
About to go under 5 minutes left in the ball game. Phillips gets the signal, comes quickly to the line of scrimmage. He's got plenty of time on the play clock. Trying to get a man on late is going to be a 5-yard penalty. That was J.T. Wall that they were trying to get on late. And the young quarterback, he had plenty of time to wait on. The clock is just now to 3 and to 2.
A big mistake by the quarterback, Corey Phillips.
They have a dead ball foul. False start against the offense. Movement in the offensive line prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Mark Richt whispers in the ear of Terrence Edwards and sends the veteran receiver from Tennille, Georgia, onto the field.
Well, I don't need to tell you who I'd give it to. I've been saying all night he's
moo, moo, moo. Musa Smith.
He'd get it some way or another.
from the 6 following the penalty. That's who they give it to. Bounces it to the outside. Nice defensive work by the Gamecocks, and he is going to be knocked down after a gain of maybe 1 by Jermaine Lemon. Also out there quickly, number 1, Neesmith.
Jermaine Lemon, really a quick linebacker, and of course they're playing Musa Smith too.
Well, as this game has gone on, South Carolina has keyed off him as Georgia has keyed off Watson.
Yes,
South
you're
Carolina.
right. You want at least a field goal here. You don't want a mistake by the quarterback here.
Billy Bennett warms up on the sideline. 3rd down. Goal for Georgia.
.25-second clock.
Now, I don't want to blame the young quarterback because we don't know all the circumstances. He could have gotten the play late, but he has had more trouble coming into the lineup, working with the number 1s and getting the play off ahead of time.
I think he did get the play late, and substitutions late down here. But this has been a mistake-filled series by Georgia. They got to make sure they come away with something in this series.
3:55 left in the ball game. 3rd down and goal. This penalty moves it out to the 11-yard line. Here comes the blitz by South Carolina, and on the quarterback keeper, Corey's going to be tackled after a gain of only 1. That's Jermaine Lemon.
2 big mistakes. Safe call. Quarterback draw. Don't put it up. Run it in the middle of the football field. If you can't pick the 1st down up, set the field goal up.
Now, keep an eye on the interior because South Carolina has blocked a field goal tonight, and also Bennett has missed a field goal tonight.
Big 57, Langston Moore. He's the one that blocked the last one.
And he came from right there in the middle. You see him. 27-yard attempt. He's up and he's got it. 3 minutes, 17 seconds left in the ball game, and our new score: the Bulldogs 9 and the Gamecocks 7. So Georgia goes on top, and you see how much time we have left in the ball game.
I would not kick the ball to Ryan Brewer. I'd kick it anybody but him.
He's not the speediest out there, but we know how efficient he is. Jonathan Kilgore has it teed and will kick it off for Georgia. And I mean, the folks wearing red have really been whooping it up since that field goal. Short kick. Just like Mike said, they're not going to kick it to him. And the short man takes it from the 30 to the 34. That's Anton Neesmith. Well, coming up tomorrow night.
There's not a better defensive end tandem in the league. Opposing quarterbacks this season can expect pressure.
Oh no, but I'm gonna get him.
Carson Carter lead the Titans against the Dolphins on Sunday evening. Nobody has left the ballpark tonight. 9-7 Georgia with 3:10 to play. We stayed on 7-6 Carolina forever.
12 men on the field for Georgia. Wisely, the linebacker called timeout, Boss Bailey.
So we'll take the break with them. 3:10 remaining. 9-7 Bulldogs. Well, number 97, Daniel Weaver. He could be a hero for the Gamecocks. He's the place kicker. His longest in college, as we mentioned, 29 yards. In high school, he had a 56-yarder. But South Carolina has got some motoring to do up the field to get him in position to kick that. Watson is out. Ryan Brewer in at tailback. Pressure right up the middle. Gets this one away. And too far for Brewer. Brian Kenny, what do you got for us?
Ron, we get back to Nebraska and Notre Dame in Lincoln, and it's 27-3. Cornhuskers back to punt, and here we go. Look out! Shane Walton eats it on the Cornhusker 3. Notre Dame would punch it in from there, so it's 27-10 right now. And the defending champs, the Sooners, up big on Mean Green, 37-10. Ron?
The guy Quentin Griffin, 157 yards.
He is so important to that Sooner football team. Second down and 10. Plenty of time on the play clock. They come with blitz again. Petty in and out of the hands of Atkinson. Both teams have had drops tonight. The fumble by Watson, and now this one right there. That was almost surely a first down. Edwards has had a rough night.
I think the fumble was the biggest play, because that propelled Georgia to at least get it down. I don't know if Georgia offensively could have moved down for a field goal against South Carolina's defense.
Crowd is up, and as you can hear, making a lot of racket. 3 minutes, 2 seconds remaining. Here comes the blitz. They pick it up momentarily, and as Petty steps up, drills the pass complete, and you know who it's going to. It's Ryan Brewer. Has the first down, plus about 9 more. Good for 18 yards.
Good pass protection by the offensive line. They picked up the blitz and were able to give Phil Petty enough time to deliver this football. See the blitz, the all-out blitz is on. He buys some time, slides, and he hits so reliable. Ryan Brewer.
Kevin Rivers with a good block on the play. Kind of sets down in the middle of that zone. Low pass to the sideline. Wanted to get it to Brewer, but he had to hurry because of the pressure, and Petty got a low pass from center, so he had more than he could say grace over at that time.
Larrell Johnson with a low snap, and he never had a chance on that play. Would you go to Ryan Brewer again? Continue to get him the football. He's the guy that's Mr. Excitement for the South Carolina offense.
So they set him out in the slot this time, bottom of the screen. And they're going to go long. They decoyed with him. Atkinson couldn't hold on. Knocked away at the 10-yard line.
He had another shot, though. That's another jump ball that he had a chance to make that play.
Pinnock with a good job of picking up the blitz. That time they did decoy Ryan Brewer and went on top to Atkinson. Big fella at 6'5", but here's that jump ball again.
Bruce Thornton, and he had a chance at it.
Third down and 10. Petty goes to the other side. Got a man and has it complete. Matthew Thomas, number 15, and it's a 1st and 10. South Carolina, 36 yards in the pass play, and it was Brandon Williams, a reserve, that they picked up.
A nickel back. They go with 5 defensive backs, still running the blitz. You got Brandon Williams against Matthew Thomas, a freshman, and the big play for the freshman. Phil Petty with a good throw.
This was a nice throw, and a good job of concentration by Thomas.
Again, good protection starts with that. Thomas just ran by Brandon Williams over the shoulder.
Here's it. He's up on the far sideline. He's off the field, so we are just about set to whistle this one back into play. You could see Daniel Weaver, the place kicker, buttoning up the chin straps. He had much rather they score a touchdown, though, than have to depend on him to win this ball game. Here comes the blitz off the corner. They give it on a running play. Nope. Petty's going to hold on to it. And you don't want to make a mistake here because even if you kick it from the line of scrimmage where it is right now, it's only about a 35-yard attempt.
Ron, what Georgia's got to think about now is using their timeouts a little bit, because South Carolina is going to milk this clock and take everything away from them and take it to Columbia, South Carolina. So Mark Richt has to really use his timeouts.
South Carolina scored first. Opening kickoff, Derek Watson took it 66 yards. Then they set up camp and in 6 plays with 31 yards scored the touchdown. That's the last score for South Carolina on the opening series of the game. Penix straight ahead, and Andre gets nothing. You see number 46, Witherspoon, also David Jacobs down at the bottom of the pile.
And Georgia's going to use one of their timeouts.
Timeout called by Georgia. 1:28 left. Mark Richt pacing the sideline. What has plagued him tonight? Mistakes, and he knows that they could have had at least 10 more points. Is on the sideline. Corey Phillips is loosening up.
They're going to look back at this tape and see where they had the ball on the 1-yard line. They backed up to the 11
They're also
because of two mistakes.
They're also going to look at a missed field goal, a blocked field goal, and a drop pass in the end zone. Any of which would have them in a comfortable situation right now. Well, tomorrow morning, the season premiere of Sunday NFL Countdown. Chris Berman and the gang. Vikings moving forward without Corey Stringer. A conversation with Eddie George and issues involved with using replacement officials. Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. Ron Franklin, Mike Gottfried, and Adrian Karsten, a very talented ESPN crew here in Athens. Hope you've enjoyed this one tonight. We have 1:28 left. And it has been a fast-paced and rockin' sock'em game from the opening kickoff.
Talk about replacement officials. This officiating group has done a marvelous job here tonight.
They have.
And you said something early in the game as a former coach you like to hear. You don't even know they're there.
Yeah.
And that's the best kind.
9th play to start it back at the South Carolina 33-yard line. And the big play, the big pass to Matthew Thomas. 3rd down and 10. What you want here is something that's safe. Otherwise, eat the football. Because Georgia turned it over, trying to score almost in the same position. Petty goes for the end zone and taken away for a touchdown. And that is Brian Scott. I mean, the defensive back was there to make the interception, and Petty is down. He's injured. I thought for the world Bruce Thornton's going to pick this thing off. You see Thornton being comforted, and I'm telling you, when you look back at the replay, he was poised, maybe even to pick it off and go 99 for a touchdown, Mike.
He had a shot at it, Ron. It was hung up there for him, but just a good job by Brian Scott wrestling it away from him.
Daniel Weaver to attempt the extra point, trying to make it a 14-9 ball game, and he does. So 1:22 left in the ball game. South Carolina, they scored early, and now they score late.
That was a very good drive, engineered by Phil Petty.
Ron Walters on the sideline, chief trainer for the Gamecocks. Gentleman in the tie, looking over Phil Petty. Take a look at it again, Mike. Tell us what you see.
One-on-one on the outside. Brian Scott breaks the outside. Ball underthrown a little bit, and Brian Scott used his body pretty well. 6'3", shielded off Bruce Thornton. That 214 pounds. He got his right mitt on that ball and wouldn't let it go. Phil Petty, you're going to see the hit on him as he threw the football. I'm not sure he knew. Yeah, he did know. He kept his eyes on that ball. Will Witherspoon hit him.
Looks like he injured that left wrist. Scott's 3rd career touchdown. Marvelous job of concentration by him, because it sure looked as though Georgia was going to come away with a drive clinching or ending interception. 14-9, Carolina back on top. 88 seconds or 82 seconds left in this one. Here's Bowers with a kick. Brown from the 6. Tries to get out of bounds, and he does. 27-yard line. Mike, they got one timeout left. Give me strategy if you're looking at this situation as your own.
Well, you just got to pump the ball downfield. You talked about early in the broadcast about the tight ends being a factor. They have not been a factor in this ball game in the second half. Corey Phillips is going to be the quarterback. You figure Terrence Edwards. Damian Gary looks to me the best receiver tonight.
Intercepted. At the 20, Jeremiah Garrison. And they erupt on the far pitch. The Gamecocks are going to make it 2 years in a row to knock off the Georgia Bulldogs in the opening conference game. They got 66 seconds to get off the clock.
Too many opportunities, Ron, where they just didn't make it happen. And you got to credit South Carolina. They made the plays. They didn't beat themselves. And that's been the whole story of South Carolina last year. They had the fumble by Watson, but their Phil Petty, their quarterback, came back from that.
Look at Charlie
quarterback,
Strong.
And their defense just did not want to give up any more yardage.
Second turnover of the night. Charlie Strong, a very happy man on the far sideline, and for good reason. What a huge interception on the part of Jeremiah Garrison, the sophomore out of Belton, South Carolina. They'll take a knee. Georgia can stop the clock one more time, and they do. Well, now for tonight's monster play of the game, and it happened just a few seconds ago. Brian Scott heading for the end zone on a pass that looked as though it might be picked off. He out-battles, it falls into the end zone. Our monster play of the game.
It goes back to, again, South Carolina made the plays necessary to win this football game. Georgia, a lot of opportunities.
I'm telling you. You know, Mike, two things and observations of looking at this one tonight. We still got 62 seconds left. But now Georgia cannot stop the clock again.
If you're ahead, this is the best play you ever run.
I'm telling you, you're going down to one knee. Last year, we talked about, after that game down in Tampa, their New Year's Day bowl game, what a huge carryover South Carolina would get, because they not only won, they won big over a team from the Big Ten Conference. And I think if South Carolina came away with nothing else, that they learned how to win last year, which they had not known in previous years.
I think the other thing you can put a point on tonight, they won an away game.
That's right.
And that is something that if you're going to move ahead and challenge Tennessee and Florida, you've got to be able to win on the road in tough environments. And they proved that they lasted here tonight and won.
He'll go down to one knee. Reminder coming up next on ESPN Sports Center. Or for post-game coverage, and here in Athens, tune over to ESPN News immediately following the game for interviews and a full wrap-up. And the Gamecocks are in the middle of the field, and they are celebrating. They will make it 2 wins in a row over the Georgia Bulldogs, and they open up the SEC conference season with a victory. They are 1-0, 2-0 overall. Well, the final score, South Carolina 14 and Georgia 9. Coming up next, Sports Center. For an expanded post-game coverage from here in Athens, tune over to ESPN News or log up to ESPN.com, your home for college football on the internet. This has been a presentation to ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Now for Mike Gottfried and Adrian Karsten and our entire ESPN crew, Ron Franklin saying so long, everybody, and a good night from Athens, Georgia.